Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Welcome. Hang on just a second while I get my hot coffee ready. And I hope you have a cup of something and you're ready to sip along with me, whether it be wine, hot chocolate, beer, whatever. Let's have a sip together. Okay, so today what I'm going to show you is something I discovered, and I don't know if other people have been doing it already. Probably so. But it's new to me and I've been having a blast doing it. So what I've done is I figured out a way to make all of these little backgrounds using just my Silhouette software, my printer, and sometimes, like on this one, I used a little watercolor. It was a last minute thing, so it's not perfectly done. I would redo this one actually. And this one, I used a little bit of this Distress Oxide. Get this stuff here. And one of those little daubers that looks like this to spread it around. So let's get started on this. Oh, and by the way, this piece right here, this blue sky and the snow, that's all one piece of cardstock onto which I've made a nice background. At least I think it's nice. So anyway, follow me to Silhouette and I'll show you how to make these. Easy peasy, and you're going to have a blast. Oh, and by the way, I'll have a link up above that shows how I did some of these other things, how I do the print then cut and add the offset for these kind of gnomes and that kind of stuff. So there'll be a link up above for that. Okay, let's get started. Okay, as I said, this one is one piece of cardstock, at least this blue inner part is, and the white snow. The first one we're going to start with, though, is the Hello Kitty one. And she is a separate piece, but the rest of this is all one piece. So I printed and cut it right on the card that I wanted to use. So this is just one piece of cardstock and one piece of cardstock added onto it with a pop-up dot. So now let's go to Silhouette and get started. Okay, here we are, and here are 4 of the cards that I've made, but we really only need to make 3 of them because the background behind Cinderella and the background behind Tweety are both the same. However, the background behind the kitty and the gnome are different, so we'll have 3 different kinds. And I think the one I'll start with will be the kitty, Hello Kitty. So let's move this off to the side. And since I did this on a full sheet, a full card, let's just do it that same way. So the first thing I would do is come up here and get a rectangle and draw out a rectangle. And then since this is going to be an A2 card that I'm going to fold here in the center, I know that the A2 cards start out with a size of, let me think, it would be 8.5 tall, the height would be 8.5 and hit enter. And then the width would be 5.5 and hit enter. Okay, and as we know then, of course, there would be a dividing line in the center, so I can draw that if I want to. Hold down my Shift key. I just came up here to the line tool. Hold down my Shift key and draw a line. Doesn't matter if it's in the center because I'm now going to center it. I'm going to grab both of these 2 things and come up here and say center. And now it's perfectly centered if it wasn't. The other thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to change the color of this to green. I usually use green for everything that is going to be a score line. So I'm going to leave that as green just like that. And I think I'll change my card color to white. So now hopefully you can see that there's the white card and there's this little faint green line here. Now what that green line is referring to is how much space we have over here to work with. Now on my original one that I made, what I did was I put it right onto the cardstock. So in order to do that, I must have made another box. And of course this would be the whole front of the card. So it would measure 5.5, hit enter. And its height would be 4.25. Enter. All right, and now I would just put this over here like this, if I like. Okay, and it'll fit over there very nicely. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this thing. And I'm actually going to make it smaller because I want it, if you'll notice, this one doesn't go all the way to the side. See how the dark lines? So I'm going to make this smaller so it's going to fit inside there like that. Just eyeballing it. You can measure things if you want to, just like that. Then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to come way over here to a tool that we haven't used much. It's called the Line Effects panel. I'm going to open that, and I'll just drag it over this way. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here. I can't remember. Let's see. I'm going to make the cross hatches. See, that made them automatically. And I can go ahead and change the spacing of them. So see, I can make them spaced wider apart. And I can also change the angle of them because I like them being angled better than straight up and down. So that's perfect, just like that. The other thing that I did do, because I do want these to print, is I came up here and I changed the point size. I think I made it like, well, this is something you can experiment with, how dark you want it to be. I'm just going to make mine 1.50 for my point size. And then the other thing I had to do for this is simply to come down here, and I think I added the scribble effect to the edge. So again, I came up here and changed the point. There we go. And that is all there was to that, believe it or not. I could make this darker if I want to by still coming up here and excuse me, changing the point like that. And that basically was all there was to it. So what I did now was I just, well, the first thing I did was this. I said I wanted to print this. So I came up to File. Oh, before I can do that though, and I'm assuming you're working in a Cameo machine now, we need to come up here to the page setup. Okay, I'm going to change this now because the cardstock that I'm going to use is letter size. So originally this was set for auto Cameo, but I'm going to change it to letter. Excuse me. And I'm also going to come over here to the third button over, and I need to put on my registration lines so I know if my print then cut will fit here. I'm going to grab all this stuff and group it together so it stays together. And look, that's going to fit in there perfectly, just like that. So remember this line I put here that's green? Since I did not give that line any weight, in other words, its point size is still 0, it's not going to print. Watch. So if I come up here to File, and I say Print, Preferences, I'm going to change my preferences, and I'll do a print preview. We're going to see what's going to print. And notice on my printer, the only thing that's going to print is this part of the card, and then this part's not going to print because it's white. But when I do put this into print then cut, it's going to cut all around the card. So I'm just going to go ahead and say print, and this will be sent to my printer over there. Okay, and hit as printed, and I want you to pay attention to this little square up here. Notice it's in the upper left-hand corner of my mat. This printed on my paper, and I'll show you that in just a moment, and I'm going to make sure that I put it in exactly the same orientation that it is here. Okay, so that solid black square has to be in the upper left-hand corner. So let's get rid of this stuff, and now I'm going to show you how I'm going to send this to be cut with my Cameo. So I'm going to say send, and I'm going to uncheck everything to begin with. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I know I want to cut my white, all this white stuff I want to cut. And let's see what else. Do the blue here, it shows it's blue. I don't want that to cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and change that to score. Okay, that's what I would rather do. Put it on cardstock plain and score. Now, when it goes to do the white, I am going to say it's cardstock heavy, and I might even change my, whoops, I changed that from cardstock heavy. Cardstock heavy, and I like to even up my blade depth a little bit. I've already tested this, so this will work perfectly. So now what I want you to do is look down here on my mat, and I'll show you how I'm going to place it on here. Remember, I want to have the box, the solid black box, in the upper left-hand corner on my mat. Okay, here is my mat. This is my left hand. So this is in the upper left-hand corner of my mat, and this is how I'm going to feed it into my machine. So I'm going to go ahead and feed it into my machine, cut it, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I've taken it out of my machine and it has finished cutting, and I should have a nice score line. I'm sure you can't see it, but there's a score line right here in the center, and I could have left it on there probably because it may have been a little bit easier for me to leave it on there to do my inking. So I'm just going to show you how I would ink this a little bit. Let's see, where did I put my little dauber? There he is. And what I could use if I had it available is put a little painter's tape on here. Not sure I know where that is right offhand. My blue painter's tape, so I'll just try to be careful. Or what I can use is this little piece right here to kind of make a mat right here so I don't go over into that edge. So just going to go ahead and put a little on here, and then you like to just rub a little bit off first so you don't get a whole big terrible looking blob. And then I just start circling around and get a little bit more and maybe run it off. So again, I can just do this like this, and I also did some blue on mine, I think, or maybe I did just do green. Doesn't matter. So I could do a little bit on this side now and make sure that I have this masked off so I don't get it really, whoopsie. Ah. Anyway, so that's pretty much all that I do, other than I think I'd maneuver that around a little bit more and come down here and put this here. Be a lot easier if I use some tape. Okay, that's good enough. You get the idea. So I just use one of these daubers that I got from scrapbook.com. I have a link to them down below. They have fabulous prices, and I appreciate it when you use my links because it does help me to keep my channel going here. So if you're in the market to buy something, whether it be a printer, I have a link for my printer down below. If you want to join our Patreon class, there's a link for that down below. We have a lot of fun. We learn all about Silhouette Studio software for our Cricut machines and our Cameo machines. So anyway, so that one's pretty much done, just like that. Isn't that cute? And of course, you would just take some little guy, whatever you've got. Maybe this wouldn't look too nice because it's pretty jazzy itself. But just put one of your little things on here that you have. Let's see if we have anything different. Could do a black silhouette of a dog, my puppy, pop dotted up. Or what else do I have over here? I have a snowman, but he's awfully small for on here, so I'd want to have a couple of him on here. But anyway, you get the idea for this. So now let's go up to design, or not Design Space. Let's go up to Silhouette Studio again and do the second card. Okay, so that was this first card, and now we're ready to do the second card, which is actually a lot easier, and it's the one that has these circles like this. The hardest one was doing this one with the gnomes, but it's really not hard once you get the hang of it. So we'll do this one with the circles next, whether it be for something like Cinderella or Tweety Bird. So all I did for this one was get a little rectangle by coming over here and drawing one out. And I just made it a smaller size. It's going to fit in my A2 card. So what I decided to do for mine was, let's say it's for this one right here that's like this orientation. So I made it about 5 inches high. Actually, I did make it 5 inches high by 3.75 inches wide. Okay, just like that. And so, because I wanted to have enough room to have a white piece behind that as well, if I wanted to, just like this one does. All right, so what I did then was I came over here again to the sketch or the line effects panel, opened that up, clicked on this, and all I did was click on this thing right here that says add concentric circles. There we go, that one. The spiral effect? Wait a minute, I thought I added the concentric circle effect. That's odd. It's making it... Okay, let's just space this differently. Okay, so that must be the one that I actually used. For some reason in my notes, I said I used this one, but I did not, because that's making it squared off. So I used this one. And I don't know what the angle does for sure on this. Not much. So, and that's all I did for that one, other than I once again went ahead and you can add a plain edge or you can add a scribble edge again. So there's the scribble edge. So that's all I did for that one. So I do believe, though, what I did do was one more thing, and that is that I went behind here now. So I did another rectangle. Actually, I should have done that in the beginning. And I could draw this rectangle out and make it be the size that I needed, which was 3.75. Hit enter. And it was 5 high. Hit enter. So that should fit, but look, it doesn't quite. I'm going to make this thing white. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so it'll fit on that white piece. So I'm going to right click on the white piece, and I'm going to say send it to the back, and then I can bring this piece on top and see how that's going to look. So that looks pretty good to me. Just make that white piece a little smaller like that. And okay, that looks good. So let's look and see what's going to happen if we go to print this. Oh, I am going to show you what's going to happen if we go to print this just like this. Watch this, because this is going to maybe happen to you. If I go to File and Print, preferences are like this. I just leave them like they are. And I'm going to have it print a preview. Give me a print preview. And you're going to see what's going to print. And it's going to be nothing. Look, a blank page. And you're going to be like, why in the world did that happen? Well, do you remember what I told you? Let me cancel this out. Now I don't want to print it. If you don't do something with these lines right here, they're not going to print and they're not going to cut. Because right now, if you come up here and look at the point size up here, it says the point size is 0, 0, 0. So basically, they're just here so you can see them. They're not going to print. They're not going to cut. So what I want to do is I want to up these so that I can see them, okay? And let's see, is this, well, actually what I was just doing just now is upping the outside of my white piece, which is not what I want. I'll take that back down to 0. I don't care about that. This is what I want to change the line point for. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up to about 1.75. I think that's what I had done before. Then I'll take both of these pieces and grab them both, and I can simply center them. And now when we go to Print Preview, check it out. So I'm going to go to File, Print, Preferences, or I'll just go to Print, and it should open up a Print Preview for me because I've already changed my preferences. And now look, we've got an actual thing printing. So remember, that's what we need to make sure to do. You need to make sure that you change, now it says 0 for the point size, but that's for the outer white thing. If I want to find out the point size of this, I need to make sure I have it highlighted and I can see what its point size is right here. So if it's not over 0.00, it's not going to work. So I would simply go ahead and print this one, and then afterwards I would send it to my cutting machine and cut it. So that one's easy peasy, right? So it's just like this. So I put my little Tweety bird in here, and again, I'll have a link up above for you, or at least under the video here for the videos where I show how to make these little guys. All right, so the last one we're going to make, let me get rid of, I actually just need to get rid of this part here, delete. and I can keep my little piece here. I am going to rotate it so it's like this, holding down my shift key so it rotates. See how it pops right into place? That, whoops. But you got to let go of your mouse first and then your shift. All right, so here's this. Now, I have some notes. Let me find my notes to make sure I tell you properly. So what I did was this. I have a rectangle like this, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and get my knife tool right here, and I'm going to come up here, make sure it says outline and curve, and I can leave it on auto apply if I want to. So all I'm going to do is, you see this little snow border down here by my gnome? I'm going to draw something like that with my knife tool. See, it's just curving like that. When I double click at the end, that ends it. And now I can pull these two pieces apart if I want to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to color the top part blue for the sky. And I'll leave the bottom part white for the snow. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some stars in here. So I'm going to come over here to our flexi shapes and find a star. And I'm going to come over here and draw a star in here. And now if I want to make a bunch of stars, all I have to do is, while that one's selected, hit Control D for duplicate on my keyboard as many times as I want. So now I have a bunch of stars, and I'll probably just like resize them a little bit. And I can use this little red button right here. Let's scroll in so you can see better. Oops, with this. Okay, there we go. I can use this little red dot right here, and look what that does to the star. Makes it interesting, right? So let's see, can move him over this way, maybe have him like that. Can grab one of these guys, and I can do this to it to make more points on it if I want, and bring it up here and maybe even have it go off the edge. And I can bring this guy down, make him a tiny one. So you can just play with these however you'd like to. And I think I'll make him be right. Make him go down like that maybe. I'm not sure about that, we'll see. And I'll change this one. And this one, make it smaller, put it down here. And now I'm going to duplicate this one. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard because this one's already selected. And notice what happens. My mouse turns from a hand. When I hold down the Alt, it turns into a plus sign, which means I can just duplicate one, just drag one off. So maybe if I want to do this one, I highlight it, hold down my Alt key, and drag one off, just like that. Okay, so that's pretty good. All right, now I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to select all my stars first of all. So I'm going to select them one by one, hold down my Shift key, and just select all of these stars. Okay, I have them all selected. And now I'm going to open up my panel down here, which is the Line Effects panel. And oh, this time, this is the one I want to use, the concentric. This is where I use the concentric one. Watch what happens to these stars. Isn't that cool? They turn out really cool just like that. So that's good like that. But what I want to do now is I want to make these stars white, have white lines. So in order to change the line color, this is the fill color over here on the left. This is the line color. I'm going to change it to white. Now remember, these won't print, they won't cut. Nothing will happen with these guys unless I change the point. So I'm going to up this, and I think I'll just make it 1.75 again, just like I'd done before. Just like that. And that's all I pretty much need to do, other than I don't want these edges hanging over here. So what I can do for those is I'm going to come over here and get the knife tool. going to bring my knife tool up here at the top, hold down my shift key, and just drag straight down. And I didn't get it close enough. So this is why I don't like to have my auto apply on, because it's going to auto apply that. And if I didn't have auto apply on, I could have redone that. So I'm going to do my knife tool again, turn off auto apply. And whoopsie. I'm going to do my knife tool. And I'm just going to come right up here, hold down my shift key, and draw a line straight down. Okay, so if I need to now, I can change something. Whoops, I got to double click. But I think it'll be okay. And now I can simply apply, and that's going to let me take off, whoopsie daisy. Oopsie. Thought I had a couple more pieces to take off right there. Let's look in here. So I guess not. Huh. That was odd. I thought I needed to get a little bit more off, but it looks pretty good right there. So let's come over here to this part. Get the knife tool again. Auto apply is off. So I'm just going to start here on the left, hold down my shift key, and draw straight across. And double click at the end. And now apply. And what that's going to let me do is take this piece off, because I don't need that anymore, and delete it. Okay, the other one I have to do is this right down here. Take my knife. And again, I like to start at the top to make sure if I do get a jaggedy edge, my knife's going to be straight all the way down. So I'm going to hold my shift key down, draw a line, double click, and then say apply. And that lets me get rid of that piece if I have it. Okay, so that's perfect. This is all we need to do now. So let's get rid of this. Let's scroll back out, move this out. I'm going to grab all of this and group it. And I can just move it up here. And let's see what it's going to print like. So I'm going to go to File, Print, Preferences. I can change the preferences again if I want to and say OK. This is going to show me a print preview. Okay, that's going to be perfect. Now we can't see the white down here, but we know it's there and we know it's going to be printed. And then when we're ready, it will cut. So let's X this out. Or no, I guess I could really just go ahead and print this. So yes, I do want to print it. So that's going to print on my printer. Now, this is a little bit different right here. So you'll need to take a note, because when we go to print and cut this, or to cut this, I should say, watch what happens when I send it to my Cameo this way. It's really weird. Even if I uncheck everything and I try to get the blue, okay, that's by itself. And look at this line right here that's going to cut. And the white, okay, there's the white that's hiding underneath there that's going to cut. That's not at all what we want. So since this thing has already been printed and it's perfect, I can do this and it's not going to matter one iota. I can grab this whole thing, right click and say weld. Oh, but look, I got a couple little pieces that shouldn't be here. What the heck? Let me get rid of these few little pieces. If you have some little stragglers out here, you might, oopie daisy, can't move that thing. No way. Hit Control-Z to go back. So you might have a few little straggly things that you need to get rid of too. Okay, like that. But even though this is a solid piece now and that's not what we want, we printed exactly what we want. Let me show you. Okay, this is what I've printed off now. Notice I have the solid square in the upper left-hand corner, just as it is on my virtual mat. Now I'm going to stick this in my Cameo. And I'm going to click on Send up here on my screen. And again, it's going to look very, very weird because all I have right now for it to cut is this rectangle. So let me uncheck everything and I'll just check this purple thing because that's all I wanted to cut is this purple rectangle, even though we know it's actually going to cut a rectangle around my piece that has white snow at the bottom, blue sky and snowflakes or stars at the top. So I've got it on heavy cardstock and it's ready to go. So I'm going to hit send. And this shouldn't take long at all. It's got to read the registration marks first because it is a print then cut. So it's read all the registration marks. Now it's going to cut. Okay, here's the finished product. So I just take this right off of my mat, and this is ready to be taken off. And this piece is then ready to go. I could put this on the card like this, or actually what I like to do is maybe put it on a dark card with another white border behind it first. So I'm not sure. Let's see, how did I do it on my original? Okay, I like it like this, on a white card with a dark blue background behind it first. So I'd have to cut this one to the right size and then put this one on there. And you can see how super cute that looks and how easy it was to do this. There's just a few things that you need to remember. Let's put him out here like he's snowboarding with wheels. Anyway, you can see how easy it is to do this. You just have to remember at the very end, it's pretty weird when you go to do the print then cut on your machine. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, make sure you're following along where we're doing our card challenge. We started with number 2 this week. This is the card I made for the challenge. It's a lot of fun. Join us at our Facebook group. I'll have the link down below for this. And make sure you look for this video, and I'll have that linked also here. So again, thanks a lot. If you're in the market to buy something, please use my links. It helps me keep this thing going. So again, thanks. See you guys later. Bye-bye.